So picture this. You can run a 10K, you feel like you're in the absolute best shape of your life, and yet you could still have a ticking time bomb growing inside your arteries. It sounds completely impossible, right? But being physically fit doesn't grant you immunity from heart disease. Today, we're going to dig into this terrifying paradox to understand how the picture of health can be so dangerously deceiving. Just let that sink in for a second. For half of all men, there is no warning. No chest pain, no shortness of breath, nothing. The very first symptom is also the very last one. I mean, this isn't just some number on a page. This establishes the life or death stakes of understanding what's really going on inside our bodies. And that right there, that is the million-dollar question we're going to unravel today. How on earth can your body be hiding a fatal condition while you're out there hitting personal bests at the gym or on the race course? Well, the answer is kind of brilliant and absolutely deadly. To get our heads around how a healthy engine can just suddenly fail, we first need to meet the main villain of our story. And trust me, it has a grim nickname for a very good reason. The LAD, think of it like the main trunk of a giant tree. It's responsible for supplying blood to the entire front and bottom of your heart's most powerful chamber. Now, if you block a tiny little branch, you might lose a leaf. But if you block that main trunk, the whole tree is coming down. A complete blockage here, it can stop the heart cold, instantly. So, the big question is, why don't you feel any of this happening? Well, it's because your body is an absolute master of disguise, creating a dangerous illusion of perfect health. Okay, this slide right here, it completely demolishes one of the biggest myths about heart disease. We all have this image in our head of our arteries clogging up like a bathroom sink pipe, right? Slowly narrowing until the flow just trickles to a stop. Logically, we'd feel that. But that's just biologically wrong. Instead, the artery wall actually stretches outward to make room for the plaque, keeping the channel for blood flow completely and totally clear. This incredible but kind of terrifying adaptation is called positive remodeling, and it means you can have a massive amount of plaque hidden away in the vessel wall, but the highway for your blood flow stays wide open. This is exactly why an athlete can be at peak performance, feeling fantastic, with absolutely zero symptoms, all while being at catastrophic risk. So here's the really crucial part. You typically won't feel any symptoms like chest pain until an artery is about 70% blocked. But, and this is a huge but, most heart attacks happen in arteries that are less than 50% blocked. So how does that work? Well, it's not about the size of the blockage, it's all about its stability. So let's see how this hidden danger can suddenly explode into a full-blown crisis. There are really two primary ways a seemingly healthy heart can just stop. Yeah, forget the idea of hard, stable plaque. The real killer is something called soft plaque. I want you to imagine it as a tiny, angry blister on your artery wall, just filled with inflammatory gunk and covered by only a very thin layer of skin. It's fragile and it's ready to pop. And this is exactly what happens next. During intense exercise, that fragile little blister tears. Your body completely panics, thinking it's a major wound, and it races to form a clot. But in the tight space of an artery, this life-saving response becomes fatal. In minutes, that clot grows large enough to completely cork the artery, and blood flow slams to a dead stop. But that's not the only way this can go down. There's a second way the engine can fail, and this one is especially relevant for endurance athletes. It's a simple, brutal mismatch of supply and demand. Okay, imagine you have a 50% blockage. Now, sitting on the couch, your heart just needs a garden hose worth of blood, so that blockage is completely irrelevant. But when you're sprinting and your heart rate hits 170, it starts screaming for a fire hose worth of blood, and that crimped artery, it simply can't deliver. The demand outstrips the supply, and your heart muscle begins to literally suffocate. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. Even with these dangers, your body isn't totally defenseless. It has a secret weapon it can actually build over time. It's called collateral circulation. Think of your main arteries as big highways. If a traffic jam, a blockage, develops slowly over years, your body can actually start paving tiny little side streets to get around the problem. These natural bypasses can be the difference between a fatal event and one you survive. And get this, you can actively encourage your body to build these life-saving detours. So, how do you do it? consistent, moderate exercise, what's known as Zone 2 training, and also high-intensity interval training, or HIIT. This is one of the most powerful ways exercise actually protects your heart. So the good news is, we don't have to rely on luck or guesswork anymore. We can use modern technology to pull back the curtain and see exactly what the body is trying to hide from us. And this brings us to the most important question of all. If you have zero symptoms, how on earth do you find the threat before it finds you? First things first, you have to understand that your standard cholesterol panel is not enough. All it does is tell you about the ingredients floating around in your blood. It tells you absolutely nothing about whether those ingredients are actually sticking to your artery walls and forming that dangerous plaque. To find the hidden plaque, you need specific scans. A CAC score looks for old, hardened plaque and gives you a really quick risk snapshot. But the gold standard, the real game changer, is the CT angiogram. It's the only test that can actually see that dangerous, soft plaque, making it the ultimate early warning system. You know, when it comes right down to it, the so-called healthy heart attack is a preventable tragedy. It's a tragedy born from just not knowing what's happening inside our own arteries. So the message is simple. Don't just guess that you're healthy because you feel good. Use the technology we have and know for sure. So I'll leave you with this final thought. You track your performance, your splits, your heart rate zones, you know all that stuff. But the most important metric of all might be the one you can't see or feel. Maybe it's time to find out.